What would happen if we stopped thinking of each other as neighbors and started thinking of each other as partners, as friends, as brothers and sisters? What would happen if we communicated better, listened better, understood each other better? What would happen if we stopped praying for each other and started praying with each other? What would happen if we joined hands, not just in prayer, but in friendship, and in a joint effort to make our communities a better place? What would happen if we thought of our differences not as ways to divide each other, but as distinctive gifts we each bring to our common mission? What would happen if we were more honest about our weaknesses and more generous with our strengths? What would happen if the United Methodists of the Rio Grande and Southwest Texas conferences became one church, one ministry, one people? What would happen if we taught each other, learned from each other, and strengthened our ministry in culturally relevant ways? What would happen if we made it a priority to connect with young people, with the elderly, with the mission field? What would happen if we could identify with all the cultures and communities outside the walls of our churches? What would happen if we stopped building walls and started building bridges to the world we are called to transform? What would happen if we worked together to nurture a more vibrant flock, a more diverse flock, a more unified flock? What would happen if our neighbors who do not know Jesus, those who do not attend our churches, became not your mission or my mission, but our mission? What would happen if our outreach transcended class, race, culture, education, generations? What would happen if we talked about how to share the gospel in a language that resonates across cultures and addresses the hurts, hopes, and needs of our communities? What would happen if we pooled our resources to effectively reach the populations who have been hesitant to embrace us? What would happen if we could empower a diverse congregation with the skills and knowledge to embrace the entire community, to establish and develop new churches in underserved and growing locations? What would happen if the United Methodists of the Rio Grande and Southwest Texas conferences became one church, one ministry, one people? What would happen if we reconnected with each other? If we reconnected with the passion on which our church was founded, a passion for bringing people into relationships with Christ and His zeal for transforming the world? What would happen if we communicated about both our successes and failures and learned from both? What would happen if we embraced a new flow of ideas and dreams, a new way of seeing ourselves in ministry? What if we used our churches, buildings, and grounds not only to educate the community about God, but to work with homeless shelters, volunteer at food banks, plant community gardens, host free health clinics, provide internet access, and teach computer skills? What would happen if we come together, combine resources, explore the future together? What would happen if the United Methodists of the Rio Grande and Southwest Texas conferences became one church, one ministry, one people? Through increased vision, heart, cultural understanding, financial support, and hard work, we can reach more people in more communities from more walks of life. Let's join hands in a common prayer that God use us as more powerful vessels to spread His grace. Let's become brothers and sisters in Christ, focused on expanding our family, in recruiting disciples for the transformation and betterment of the world. Let's share resources, knowledge, and experience. Let's expand our comfort zones so together we can bring Christ to those around us, to those we thought we had nothing in common with. Let's work together to find common ground with everyone around us, to make a love for Christ something we all have in common. Let's imagine the possibilities the future holds for all of us. Let's imagine a future in which we're not the Rio Grande Conference and the Southwest Texas Conference. Let's imagine a future in which we are all united Methodists. Let's imagine a future in which we are all one church, one ministry, one people. Let's imagine the power of two working as one, united.